Hello and welcome back, grade 1 students. I hope you guys are enjoying our videos. Today we're going to continue with Unit 4, Plant and Animal Structures, Lesson 4. How do plants and animals respond to their environment? Now when we say respond, it means how do they react? What do they do in order to stay alive in their environment, in order to live and grow in their environment? Okay? So what do they do when their environment changes with the seasons in order to stay alive? Today we're going to cover the following points. Introduction to Unit 4, Lesson 4, page 196-197. Plant Places section, page 198. Please, we open our books, our science books, to page 196 and we follow. Okay? Lesson 4. How do plants and animals respond to their environment? Now when we say respond, we always keep in mind that we mean how do they react? What do they do in order to stay alive, in order to survive, in order to live and grow in their environment? Now let's take a minute to observe the picture over here. What do we see? Well, correct. We observe some birds flying away. Why do you think these birds are flying away? Well, the birds, or most of the birds, live in warm conditions and warm environments. Therefore, these birds fly from one place to another when the place that they are living in becomes cold. Okay, so they leave for other places, they fly away to other places where they get the warm weather that they need to live and grow, to survive. Okay, clear so far? Let's read together. Some animals move to get what they need, and that's what we are observing in the picture. These birds are flying away to another place to get the warm weather that they need in order to live, to survive. Okay? By the end of this lesson, I will be able to tell how plants and animals respond to the places where they live. Remember, when we say respond, it means how do they react? What do they do in order to survive? And what do they use in order to survive in their environments? Okay? Clear? We move on to page 197. Plants change to grow. Have you ever seen trees like this? These trees are growing in unusual ways. Well, it is correct. If we take a minute to observe these three pictures, we see that these trees are growing in really unusual ways. Why do you think? Let's think for a minute. Why are they growing in such unusual ways? Well, in the first picture, this tree is growing towards the sunlight to get the sunlight that it needs to live and grow. Otherwise, it will die. In the second picture, we see that this tree is bending towards the river. Why? Because the roots of the river are growing towards the river to get the water that it needs to grow. That's why the tree is bending towards the river. In the third picture, we see like really big, large, long, what? Roots. Well, the plants that live in places that are dry grow really long roots that can go far away under the soil to get the water that it needs to live and grow. So, can you explain it? Why are the trees growing in unusual ways? What do you guys think? Why are they growing in unusual ways? Why? Correct! To get what they need to live and grow. To get the sunlight and the water that they need to live and grow. Clear? Plant Places section. In this section, we're gonna learn how and what do the plants do to grow in the different places, okay? So in the first picture, we see a plant with long roots. In the second picture, we see a plant with short roots. We wonder why. Well, the plants that live in dry areas where they do not get enough water grow long roots that could go and grow far away under the soil to collect the water that it needs to live and grow. And the plants that live in wet areas where they get a lot of water, they grow short roots. What about the short roots? The short roots, why? Because the short roots will grow on the surface of the soil where it could collect the water easily because It is a wet environment where it rains a lot. Let's move on to page 198, plant places. In this section, we're gonna learn about the different plant places and where do these plants grow and what do they use in order to grow in these places. So if you take 2 minutes to observe carefully, we see in the first picture a plant growing on the tree, okay, and then the second picture we see a cactus in a desert. Let's check out what about them. A rainforest has tall trees. Some plants grow on trees to reach the sunlight. Again, a rainforest has tall trees. Some plants grow on trees to reach the sunlight. So many of you would wonder, what is a rainforest? A rainforest is a big forest with very tall trees. So some of the plants that need a lot of sunlight cannot grow on the ground in the rainforest, otherwise they will die. That's why some plants will have the ability to grow on the tree in order to get the sunlight that it needs to live and grow, which means it grows in the trees to get the sunlight that it needs to survive in its environment, which is the rainforest. Clear? Now in the second picture we observe a cactus with thick stems and some might see like thick leaves. Let's check out why. Why does a cactus have thick stems and thick leaves? A desert gets very little rain. Many desert plants have thick stems and leaves to hold water. One more time. A desert gets very little rain. Many desert plants have thick stems and leaves to hold water. So, in the desert, it is really hot and very dry. So, the plants get very little, what? What do you guys think? Very little what? Rain. Correct. They get very little rain. That's why many plants that live in the desert have thick, really thick, okay? Thick stems instead of thin. Thick stems and thick leaves to collect in the water and hide it in. And whenever the plant needs water, it will send it to it in order to help it survive in the really hot, dry weather in the desert. Okay? In that way, it's helping the cactus to survive in its environment. So let's read together. Plants have adaptations to live in different places. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. So what we are going to do, and we listen up carefully and very well, guys, okay? We're going to reread the paragraph one more time, then I'm going to explain, okay? So, plants have adaptations to live in different places. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. So we listen up carefully. What do we mean? We mean that the plants live in different places. They don't all live in the same place. Some live in a wet place, some others live in a dry place, okay? So an adaptation is something that the plants have and they use, okay, to help it survive, to help it stay alive in an environment, okay? In its environment. And not only the plants have adaptations, but also the animals and the people as well. All living things. Remember, when we say living thing, a living thing is something that lives and grows, correct? Such as the people, such as the plants, such as the animals, correct? Now, we listen up carefully. The ability to grow on a tree that this plant has is the adaptation that helps it to survive in its environment. If this plant wasn't able to grow on this tree to get the sunlight it needs, will it survive? No. So the adaptation that this plant is using in order to stay alive in its environment is the ability to grow on the tree. What about the cactus? How is the cactus staying alive or growing in the desert? The cactus have what does the cactus have? The cactus have a really thick stem and thick leaves that hold in the water and help it to survive in the really dry weather. Clear? So, what is the adaptation that the cactus uses to stay alive in the desert and grow to survive in the desert? Because it needs really hot weather to grow, what does it use? It uses the thick stems to collect the water in it to stay alive. Now, let's underline the yellow words and get ready. Okay? What is an adaptation? An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. Again, an adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. Again, remember guys, we keep on repeating it until we study it very well. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. One more time. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. But what is an environment? An environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Remember, non-living are things that do not grow, okay? And living are the things that grow, live and grow, okay? Such as the plants, people, and animals. Non-living things such as the rocks, such as the tables, chairs, the bed. Clear? So, when they are collected in the same place, they make something called an environment. Let's go. What is an environment? An environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Again, an environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Again, an environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Okay? Such as what? Such as a school. What are the living things in a school? Excellent, correct. The students and the teachers. What are the non-living things in a school? They are the chairs and the tables and the playground and the walls. Excellent. So, it is an environment because it has living and non-living things in the same place. Okay? What else? Another example could be the home. Our homes are also an environment where we have living and non-living. We are the living people, and non-living are the what? The tables and chairs at home. Another example is the nature outside. It is a big environment that has a lot of living and non-living things in it. It has the plants, the animals, and non-living things such as the rocks. Okay, so we keep on repeating them. Let's repeat it one more time. An adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. What about an environment? An environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Again, an environment is all the living and non-living things in a place. Thank you.